Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I am Deepika Mehto, and coming up in the next 1 hour. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israelis will stand alone in its fight against Hamas after US warning on arms supplies. Israel strikes eastern Rafah as ceasefire talks end with no deal.
I've known Joe Biden for many years, so 40 years and more. We often had our agreements, but we've had our disagreements.
Intense rainfall expected to hit again as Brazilian flood death toll reaches 107. Rescue teams race against time to deliver aid to flood-stricken communities in southern Brazil. Campaigning for the fourth phase of election intensifies. Political leaders continue to hold rallies and roadshows across the country. And in sports, Atalanta all set to face Leverkusen at Europa League finale. With this, Bayer Leverkusen set a new European unbeaten record of 49 successive games. So those were the top headlines of the hour that we are tracking for all our viewers here on DD India News Hour. And now to begin with the top story of the day. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel can stand alone if needed, adding that the country was prepared to fight with fingernails if necessary. Now, Netanyahu's comments came after US President Joe Biden warned that the United States would pause weapon supplies if Israel moved into Rafah. Now, US has already paused a shipment of weapons to the country.
We are determined and we are united in order to defeat our enemies and those who want to destroy us. If we need to stand alone, we will stand alone. I have said that if necessary, we will fight with our fingernails. But we have much more than fingernails, and with that same strength of spirit, with God's help, together we will win.
Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Friday said he hopes that the US President Joe Biden and he will overcome their disagreement over the conflict in Gaza, while reiterating that he would do everything needed to protect Israel.
I've known Joe Biden for many years, so 40 years and more. We often had our agreements, but we've had our disagreements. We've been able to overcome them. I hope we can overcome them now, but we will do what we have to do to protect our country, and that means protect our future.
In an interview to a TV channel, Netanyahu also said that Israel has destroyed 20 of Hamas's 24 terrorist battalions, noting that the remaining 4 are in Rafah, and so Israeli forces have to enter the region.
We've destroyed about 20 battalions of the Hamas's 24 terrorist battalions. We have another 4 to go. They're in Rafah, and that's why we want to go into Rafah, because we can't leave them there. Basically, what they're trying to do is extort, blackmail us to leave Gaza, leave them in place, these battalions, and leave their leadership in place, and then they go in and take over Gaza again and do it again.
The United States said it believes a major military operation in Rafah would weaken Israel's position in hostage talks with Hamas. U.S. State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said Washington continues to engage with Israel on amendments to a ceasefire proposal submitted by Hamas.
We actually think that a Rafah operation would weaken Israel's position both in these talks and writ large. We've talked about this before, that a major military operation in Rafah would further weaken Israel's standing in the world, would further create distance from its partners in the region who actually share Israel's goal of seeing Hamas defeated and want to see Hamas replaced with a different governance structure in Gaza.
And now to discuss more on this, I am joined by Ambassador Anil Kumar Trigunath, who is a former senior diplomat. A very good afternoon to you, sir. Now, if we talk about Netanyahu's retaliation on US's bomb shipment pausing statement, it has now further stressed the US-Israel relationship. However, earlier Israel was optimistic about solving the issue behind closed doors. How do you in particular look at this stressful development?
Well, I think that the United States has made the right call, because we have seen the death and destruction that is happening of the ordinary civilians in Gaza. And there has been an indiscriminate bombing. And again, more and more arms, ammunition, and the aid have been pumped in by the United States, which has been the sole guarantor, basically, of the Israeli security in the region. And that is what drives their policy in the region. If you, to be basically, I say, about Biden, when he came for the first time, he had warned Netanyahu about this on October 9th, I guess, that this kind of, they had a bad experience themselves about it in Iraq and elsewhere. And but Netanyahu did not, he just wanted to have a revenge, decimate completely or destroy the Hamas, has continued in the process. More than 34,000 people have been killed. It has had an impact on Israel itself also. Israeli economy is in a difficult shape. It's a lot of people have been displaced from different parts in the north and other places. And so it is not that the Israelis are not worried about, apart from the hostages that the Hamas is still holding. At the same time, it seems like this thing is still being defended by Netanyahu when he's not agreeing to ceasefire terms. Sometimes I fail to understand that what all are you negotiating at the table when you are part of the negotiations, or it's simply a facade of negotiations by both Hamas and Israel under the pressure from their respective benefactors. But this time, too, Biden is also facing a major problem at home. You have seen the demonstrations all over the United States. He's in the election year. He is losing his support base. And I think that is something, apart from the fact that the arms and ammunition that the US is supplying is killing the civilians. And that's what is a big no. Plus also the 8 corridors they have been insisting on have been halted completely. So the Rafah invasion basically is a big red line for the United States. And that's why President Biden had told that he will not be a part of it. He will not allow this. He has paused the supply of these bombs, but they are committed to the security of Israel. That is for sure. Because of which, whether it is the Iron Dome or others, they will continue to provide assistance in that regard. And US is the major guarantor of Israeli security in that sense. So I see that there is a great disenchantment in the US about Israel. Initially, they thought that it will be a quick victory, but it's already more than 7 months now. So obviously, the United States is not happy about the situation and is answerable to the people as well as the international community.
Indeed, but indirectly or directly, would this situation put more pressure on Israel rather, or would it lead to some sort of more furor to retaliate more aggressively for Israel?
Well, of course, I mean, there will be a pressure on Netanyahu. He might say that he'll fight with nails, but without the US support, they cannot go very far. That is for sure. At the same time, Hamas is also trigger happy, and they have been indulging in these kind of activities. They have been under pressure, under US pressure through Qatar, and even their leadership has to be moved from there. So they are also under pressure to reach that. Finally, they agreed to the deal, in which apparently it is said that Israel earlier had agreed to. But now they've gone back because there are two things in this. One is a fight against Hamas, to destroy Hamas, and second is his own domestic constituency, which is also increasingly getting disenchanted by him. We are seeing it through the protests, demonstrations that are happening in the country. More than 130 hostages are still there with Hamas, and everybody wants them back. So these are the kind of situations in which he's under tremendous pressure domestically. Besides, his ultra right-wing party or partners are his biggest problem, basically, how to handle them, that is there. So he's either way politically doomed.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and bringing us a rounded perspective on how US is retaliating and how Israel is talking about the latest pressure from United States, which indeed create a lot of ripple effect for both of them. Now, the United Nations General Assembly is likely to vote on Friday on a draft resolution that would back Palestinian bid to become a full UN member. The Assembly will further urge the UN Security Council to reconsider the matter favorably. The Palestinians are reviving their bid to become the 194th member of the United Nations after the United States vetoed it in the United Nations Security Council last month. And now to discuss more on this, I'm joined by DD India's Stuart Smith, who's joining us from Baghdad. A very good afternoon to you, Stuart, from India. What is the latest that you can fill us with on Palestine's bid at the UNGA today?
Well, Palestine is currently what's described as a non-member observer state, and this vote will be put to the 193 existing full members and will ask them whether they believe Palestine should become a full member as well. Now, partly that's a symbolic move because the United Nations Security Council will have the last say as to whether that's possible, and last time this question was posed to the United Nations Security Council, the United States vetoed that. But there are, even aside from the symbolic purposes, very practical ones as well. If this vote is passed, which it's likely it will be, with only 2/3 of the member states having to support it, it would mean Palestine would be able to participate in debates on any agenda item, address international gatherings, submit resolutions, and hold a seat among member states. Now, Palestine says it meets all the criteria for member status, and this proposal from the United Arab Emirates, as part of its role as the chair of the Arab Group for May, believes it ticks all the boxes. Iraq, here in Baghdad, is likely to support that as well. But there is pushback from the usual players. The United States says it remains the US view that the path towards statehood for the Palestinian people is through direct negotiations, a deal between Israel and Palestine, not through membership at the United Nations. And Israel says the adoption of the text would ultimately not change anything on the ground. But it is an important moment for Palestine and one likely to pass on Friday.
All right, thank you so much, Stuart, for joining us and bringing us the latest on what can we expect from the UNGA today. Now, delegations from Hamas, Israel, the US, Egypt and Qatar had been meeting in Cairo since Tuesday. The talks in Egypt's capital made some headway, but no deal was reached. Hamas blames Israel for the lack of agreement, while Israel has said it is open to a truce but has rejected demands for an end to the conflict. With land routes into Gaza hard to access and not fully operational, Jordan has led a coalition of Western and Arab air forces that has focused on airdrops in northern Gaza. Commander of British forces in Cyprus, Air Vice Marshal Peter Squires, said the airdrops through Jordan are an incredibly effective way to distribute aid to Palestinians in Gaza. He said Britain's Royal Air Force was making its 11th airdrop by the Royal Air Force that reached a cumulative total of 110 metric tons of aid on Thursday. The airdrops were mostly conducted close to Gaza's seashore because that is the safest place to drop the aid. Britain was also helping efforts to speed up the operation of a Cyprus-inspired maritime corridor, where a pier that will be placed off the Gaza coast could be operational very soon. It's now time to take a short break here on DD India News Hour, but still to come on the other side. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky dismisses head of the state guards after 2 members were accused of plotting to assassinate him. Former US President Donald Trump accuses New York judge overseeing his hush money trial. An Australian government to hold a parliamentary inquiry to look into the negative impacts of social media platforms.
How bad is climate change for us Indians? And 80% of our population lives in districts that are at risk of climate-induced disaster.
It is a concrete structure. It is a groundwater tank. So they collect the water, store it. When they go deeper after 10 feet, they used to get the saline water. So
we are now at a much warmer. So the 1.2 degrees Celsius of warming means that every single heat wave is now hotter, longer and more likely.
What people need to know is when is it going to start raining? When is it going to stop? If we provide this information, people can make their plans accordingly.
Welcome back. After that short break, you're watching DD India News Hour with me, Deepika. And now to bring you update on Russia-Ukraine crisis. Now, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky dismissed the head of the state guards on Thursday after 2 members were accused of plotting to assassinate him. The State Security Service, or the SBU, said this week it had caught 2 men, colonels in the State Guard Service, accused of plotting the assassination of Zelensky along with other top officials. The Security Service also claimed that the men were recruited by Russia's Federal Security Service, or the FSB, who leaked classified information to Moscow. Though Russia has not commented on this yet. According to SBU, the men were tasked with finding someone close to the Presidential Guard who would take Zelensky hostage and later kill him. There was no indication at what point the alleged plot had been foiled. And in latest from the ongoing conflict, Ukraine destroyed all 10 drones as Russia launched an overnight attack on Friday. 2 people were injured and residential buildings in the Kharkiv region were consumed by fire as a result of the attack. The Air Force has stated that Russia also launched 2 anti-aircraft guided missiles. Meanwhile, Moscow has denied targeting civilians in what it said are legitimate strikes on Ukraine's military, energy and transport infrastructure. We have with us DD India's Lim Megumi, who's joining us from Ukraine. Megumi, a very good afternoon from India. Now, if we talk about the latest dismissal of the head of state guards, this raises serious concerns on internal security of Zelensky. Are we expecting more stern steps by Zelensky in this case, Megumi?
Well, first of all, this latest assassination attempt against President Zelensky is nothing new. President Zelensky has in the past revealed that the SBU security service had notified him of previous attempts, and so far that he has said that there's been more than 10 assassination attempts against him. Just last month, the SBU said that they had arrested a Polish man who had offered to help Russia and plot an assassination against Zelensky. Now, these attempts, however, have not deterred Zelensky from being out and about. He's not someone who hides in his bunker all the time. He has continued to take great risks. For example, he is someone who has visited positions along the front lines many times. And as we know, he has also traveled abroad on numerous occasions. And these movements come with very high risks. And so it goes without saying that it is of utmost importance for Zelensky to surround himself with people that he fully trusts. And so this latest dismissal of the head of a state protection department, it doesn't come as a surprise. And it came quite quickly, just 2 days after this assassination plot was uncovered. And now his replacement has not yet been named, but we're expecting proper vetting and screening to be carried out by Ukraine's SBU security service.
And also amid all of this, Ukraine is now continuing its operation as it has now destroyed 10 drones in a recent move. How do you see their active response from the Ukrainian side, Megumi?
Well, that's right. First of all, Russia has continued to launch air attacks against Ukrainian cities on a daily basis. As you mentioned earlier, all 10 Shahid drones launched by Russia overnight were shot down by Ukraine's air defense systems. But Ukraine has also continued to step up its attacks against targets deep within Russian territory, specifically oil refineries. And just this week alone, we've seen several of these attacks take place. On Thursday, an oil refinery plant in the Bashkiria region was struck by a Ukrainian attack drone after apparently flying a record distance of 1,500 kilometers. And on the same day, a fuel depot in Russia's Krasnodar region was also hit. And in the latest, this morning, we saw reports that an oil refinery was hit in Russia's Kaluga region just outside Moscow. Now, why is Ukraine striking oil refineries in Russia? Well, the situation on the front lines continue to be very difficult for Ukrainian troops. They continue to be outmanned and outgunned by Russian forces who are slowly but steadily advancing. Just this week, they have claimed to have taken 2 more villages in the east near Avdiivka. And also, many Ukrainian cities are now experiencing blackouts and power cuts as a result of multiple large-scale attacks, Russian attacks against Ukraine's energy grid in recent weeks. So Ukraine has said that these strikes against Russian oil refineries is an aim to try to hamper and degrade Moscow's war effort in Ukraine.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Megumi, for joining us and bringing us the latest information. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin has proposed the reappointment of Mikhail Mishustin as the Prime Minister. The country parliament, known as Duma, is highly expected to approve the decision unopposed. In March, Russia went to the polls in which Putin won another 6-year term. The government resigned just before Putin, who was sworn in on Tuesday. A career bureaucrat, Mishustin has been credited with keeping Russia's economy afloat after Western nations hit the country with sanctions over its conflict with Ukraine. Now, former U.S. President Donald Trump has accused the New York judge overseeing his hush money trial of corruption. The judge, Joan Merchant, denied Trump's team's request for a ministerial after adult film star Stormy Daniels gave detailed testimony about an alleged sexual encounter. Trump, who's pleaded innocent to 34 felony charges of falsifying business records, criticized the ruling as a disgrace. DD India's correspondent Sally Patterson reports from New York on this.
After more than 6 hours of testimony, Stormy Daniels' time on the stand came to an end on Thursday. She talked the jury through her alleged relationship with Donald Trump that she says began back in 2006. She claims to have met the former president at a golf tournament in Lake Tahoe. She says they spoke and he later invited her back to his hotel suite. She spoke to her publicist, who told her to go ahead as it would be a great story either way, and she decided to go. Turning up at his suite, Daniels says that Donald Trump was wearing just his pajamas made of silk or satin. She says they discussed her career, they discussed the porn industry more widely, and they even discussed going into business together. Afterwards, she said she went into the bathroom, and when she came out, she claims Donald Trump was lying on his bed wearing just his underwear, and she says a sexual encounter then took place. Trump has repeatedly denied any sexual relations between the pair.
I'm innocent, and I'm being held in this court with a corrupt judge who's totally conflicted.
On the stand, the Trump's team tried to use that as an opportunity to really undermine Daniels' story. They claim that she only really spoke out about it in order to try and get money out of the story and also to boost her own position and status. But Daniels says, actually, if anything, speaking out about what she says is the truth cost her, didn't benefit her at all. She said she was forced to move home several times. She said she had to buy security in order to protect herself and her family, and she said she was threatened on social media. This all comes amid a case which is looking at an alleged payment made to Daniels in the lead up to the 2016 presidential election. The prosecution claims that that money, which was paid by Michael Cohen, who at one point was Trump's lawyer and fixer, was then paid back by Donald Trump to Cohen. They say that that money was then filed as a legal expense, which they say was actually incorrect and actually illegal. Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 criminal counts of falsifying business records. He could face jail time if found guilty on the case. He's, of course, running to be president of the United States once again and is frustrated to be spending time inside the courtroom and not out on the campaign trail. Sally Patterson in New York, reporting for DD India.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on Friday announced that the government would hold a parliamentary inquiry to look into the negative impacts of social media platforms. Albanese said that the social media platforms have significant reach and control over what Australians see online with almost no scrutiny. The government has criticized social media platforms for not being quick enough to remove violent posts and seek more oversight over content posted on Meta's Facebook, ByteDance's TikTok and Elon Musk-owned X.
I think that this will be an important inquiry for people and the community to engage in the debate about what is the role of social media, how do we make sure that social media's benefits continue whilst the potential for harmful impacts are minimised.
Now, China has demanded that the Philippines allow Chinese diplomats to perform their duties in the country normally after Philippines' National Security Advisor called for Chinese embassy officials to be expelled. The advisor cited an alleged leak of a call between a Chinese diplomat and a Filipino admiral discussing a dispute over the South China Sea. According to the call's transcript that has published by the local media, the admiral engaged and agreed to concessions to China. The developments come as US and Philippines conclude a joint military drill. Weather updates from across the globe now. Rescue efforts continued in southern Brazil as the region battles devastating floods that left at least 107 people dead on Thursday. Now, more than 1 million people have been affected by flooding in Rio Grande do Sul. Over 67,500 are in shelters. The military and volunteers are on the ground, organizing food and clothing for victims. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva said on Wednesday that the damage will only be quantifiable when the waters recede. Amid the devastation caused by the floods in Brazil that claimed over 100 lives, authorities made an unusual rescue of a horse. The horse was stranded on the rooftop of a farmhouse near Canaus, rescued and sent to safety in an inflatable boat.
Mobilizou o país inteiro porque de fato o cavalo estava numa situação.
And now in DD India News Hour, it's time to take a quick look at other stories making news around the globe. A day after cancelling its international flights, the Vanuatu government plans to privatize the only national carrier of the island nation. The carrier has grounded all its flights with immediate effect. Chad's interim president, Mohamed Idriss Déby, has been declared as the winner of the May 6 presidential election by the state election body. Déby secured 61% of the votes. This was the first election in Chad since the region witnessed back-to-the-back coups. The Thursday semi-final event of Eurovision contest witnessed Israel's solo artist Eden Golan securing a spot in the final contest along with two others, Swiss rapper and singer Nemo, as well as Choos Klein of the Netherlands. The grand finale is scheduled to take place on Saturday. It's now time to take a short break here on DD India News Hour, but still to come on the other side. Devotees take holy dip in various rivers of the country on the auspicious occasion of Akshay Tritiya. Apple issues apology after an advertisement for its latest iPad Pro model sparks criticism. And US President Joe Biden poised to unveil a sweeping decision on China tariffs as soon as next week.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India News Hour with me, Deepika. And now it's time to take a quick recap of the top headlines of the hour. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israelis will stand alone in its fight against Hamas after US warning on arms supplies. Israel strikes in Rafah as ceasefire talks end with no deal. Campaigning for the fourth phase of election intensifies. Political leaders continue to hold rallies and roadshows across the country. In sports, Atalanta all set to face Leverkusen at Europa League finale. With this, Bayer Leverkusen set a new European unbeaten record of 49 successive games. And now it's time to get you the latest on the world's largest democratic elections in India. Campaigning for the fourth phase of Lok Sabha elections for the 13th of May gains momentum as political bigwigs battle it out. 96 Lok Sabha seats in 10 states will go to the polls under the fourth phase of Lok Sabha elections. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a public meeting at Nandurbar in the western Indian state of Maharashtra, which is having 48 parliamentary seats. Launching a scathing attack on the Congress, Modi cornered the Grand Old Party on various issues including Ayodhya's Ram Mandir and reservation. Prime Minister will also visit Telangana, Hyderabad and Odisha later in the day to hold rallies and roadshows there.
ये राम के देश में राम मंदिर को देश विरोधी बता रहे हैं। ये तुष्टीकरण के लिए सरकारी इफ्तारी करने वाले लोग, ये आतंकवादियों की कब्रों को संवारने वाले लोग, ये हम सबके प्रभु राम और जिनका राम मंदिर जहां हम जाते हैं उस राम मंदिर जाने को देश विरोधी बता रहे हैं.
Home Minister and senior BJP leader Amit Shah is also addressed to attend a public meeting at Khunti in the state of Jharkhand. Amit Shah campaigned for BJP's candidate Arjun Munda for the upcoming polls. Later in the day, the senior BJP leader will also visit West Bengal and hold rallies in Asansol, Rampurhat and Ranaghat. Senior BJP leader and Union Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also held a public meeting in Tumka. He will also hold rally in Puri, the holy city in the state of Odisha. BJP National President JP Nadda held a roadshow in Haryana's Panchkula. The 10 Lok Sabha seats in the state will vote on the 25th of May. Samajwadi Party National President Akhilesh Yadav and Congress MP Rahul Gandhi held a joint public meeting in support of INDIA bloc candidates at the GIC ground at Kannauj in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Earlier, both the leaders held a joint rally for the assembly elections. Addressing the rally, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi expressed hope that the INDIA bloc will win big in the elections.
मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूं 250 रोको 400 रोको 1000 रोको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ने वाला है. जितनी रोकनी है रोको. यहां पे इंडिया गठबंधन की जीत होगी, अखिलेश यादव की जीत होगी और उत्तर प्रदेश में आप देखना इंडिया गठबंधन का तूफान आ रहा है.
Now, in order to garner support in party's favour, political parties geared up to woo the voters across the country. Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi addressed a public meeting in Amethi in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge also will hold rallies in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Bahujan Samaj Party Supremo Mayawati will also hold public meetings in Akbarpur parliamentary constituency of Uttar Pradesh. Addressing a press conference in the southern state of Telangana, Congress National President Mallikarjun Kharge said that Congress will give 50% reservation to women in government jobs and will also strengthen labour laws.
जो युवा ट्रेनिंग लेते हैं, अप्रेंटिसशिप कोर्स करते हैं, उनके लिए एक पक्की नौकरी का हम गारंटी देते हैं और 30 लाख नौकरियां जो हमने कहा कि ये सरकार में खाली है, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट पड़ी है, तो उसका इमीडिएटली हम इम्प्लीमेंट करेंगे। महालक्ष्मी योजना, ये गरीब परिवार की महिला को, मुखिया को सालाना 1 लाख रुपए देंगे और सरकारी नौकरियों में महिलाओं को 50% हम आरक्षण देंगे। श्रमिक कानून को हम मजबूत करेंगे।
All right, so Union Minister and senior BJP leader Rajiv Chandrasekhar slammed the Congress over its party leader Manishankar Iyengar's remark, asserting that this is a new Bharat and would not be scared away.
You have noted Manishankar Iyengar's recent statement where he has asked India to be fearful of Pakistan and therefore give Pakistan the respect that he believes Pakistan deserves. This is Manishankar Iyengar. And this comes on the heels of a statement of Sam Pitoda, who has talked about in the past terrorism as a issue that nobody should worry about. In 2019 he said this. Recently he was in the limelight for his racist comments. But what is clear is that slowly and surely Congress's ideology, Rahul's Congress's ideology is becoming clear to the people of India.
Now, Andhra Pradesh will hold polling for the 25 parliamentary seats and 175 seats in the state legislature on the 13th of May. The state has lagged in development since Telangana was carved out of Andhra Pradesh 10 years ago. Voters have been supporting regional parties such as the Telugu Desam Party and the Yuvajan Shramika Raitu Congress Party. Poll arithmetic in the state revolves around regional sentiment now. So this time around, the ruling YSRCP is going all alone against the coalition of Telugu Desam Party and the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance. Mark Lynn reports from Visakhapatnam.
The state of Andhra Pradesh goes to the polls in a single phase to elect 25 members to the Lok Sabha and 175 members to the Legislative Assembly. 2019 had seen the incumbent YSRCP sweep the polls, winning 22 of the Lok Sabha seats and 151 of the Assembly seats. Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy now faces the combined strength of the Telugu Desam Party, the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Jan Sena Party. In the Lok Sabha, the NDA has a seat sharing of 17 to the TDP, 6 to the BJP and 2 to the JSP. The alliance has been campaigning hard in the state.
Now it is a straight fight between the alliance, NDA and alliance, that is TDP, JSP and BJP, and YCP.
In the outgoing assembly, the YSRCP had a huge majority of 151 seats, with nearly 50% of the vote share. The TDP, despite garnering nearly 40% vote share, were reduced to 23 seats, and the Jan Sena had 1 seat with just over 5.53% votes. The TDP is contesting 144 assembly seats, the JSP 21 and the BJP 10. The contest is being seen as evenly balanced between the YSRCP and NDA.
After 2014, when there was a wave of Jagan, people started believing in him, saying that he would be a young man who would do something about it. 2019 Jagan wave just swept across the state. So people thought, let's give him an opportunity.
The YSRCP is banking on the continued support of rural voters, where welfare schemes like senior citizens pension, a scheme to support mothers and another for socially and economically backward women seem to be a success. But in urban areas like Visakhapatnam, voters are looking at unemployment and the slow pace of development.
What we feel is like we should get some development in our state or the country wide, and we even need jobs which we are not getting. Like there are jobs, but which are not reaching to us exactly, and the government should give the security, and the standard of living should be improved for the people actually.
इसका स्कीम बहुत अच्छा है जगनमोहन रेड्डी का, मगर
The schemes are very good, but there are no companies, no jobs. A lot of youth is just sitting idle.
खाली बैठा है, किसी को काम धंधा नहीं है.
The value of vote cannot be calculated or sold with money, so it is evident how valuable it is.
When the public sees this as a 50-50 contest, the impact of votes garnered by smaller parties impacts the fortunes of the two major players. Clearly, the fight in Kadapa, where the Congress party has put up the sitting CM's sister, is likely to eat into the YSRCP votes. But does it benefit the TDP?
No, you can look at it in a different way. It could be like, anti-incumbency vote that Jagan had, instead of coming to TDP, might go to Congress. Okay. What was presumably earlier thought of that would come to this alliance might move to Congress now. So whether TDP would stand to gain or not is something to be watched.
The scales seem even on both sides. The 4 crore voters of Andhra Pradesh have key questions on their mind. Do they want more of the same? Are they going to go back to the past? Or is a new force emerging from within Andhra Pradesh? With cameraman Piyush Vardhan Verma, this is Mark Lin, DD India, Visakhapatnam.
Now let's go across to Akshay Dongre, who's joining us from Hyderabad to talk more about the election preparation. Good afternoon, Akshay. When we talk about the situation in Hyderabad, BJP's Madhavi Lata is putting across a very strong bid against Asauddin Owaisi. What does the pulse of the voters suggest there, Akshay?
Well, Deepika, as far as the seat of Hyderabad is concerned, this is capital of Telangana, and when it comes to the politics of the state, and the seat of Hyderabad becomes extremely important, not only because this is the capital, but also because of the infrastructure has the kind of economy that the city of Hyderabad has. It is a metropolitan city in true sense. There are huge companies that are investing in the state, and especially in the Hyderabad region. In fact, when Telangana was divided from Andhra Pradesh, there was a huge question of who exactly will own Hyderabad, where will it go. So it becomes extremely important. You have rightly mentioned that BJP's Madhavi Lata is showing some strong performance as far as the elections are concerned, but we have to understand the pattern of how Hyderabad has been voting consistently for the past several decades. In fact, the sitting member of parliament, Asauddin Owaisi, is from AIMIM, that is All India, that is a party, that is a regional party here, All India Muslimin. It's a complicated name, but this party has been ruling the city of Hyderabad for several decades now. In fact, Asauddin Owaisi's father has been ruling, being selected as the member of parliament since 1984, and he has been a 6th-term member of parliament from the city. From 2004, Asauddin Owaisi, who is now the president of AIMIM, is the member of parliament. He has served as 4th-term member of parliament, is seeking a 5th term. So the way Hyderabad has usually voted is posing as a big challenge for the Bharatiya Janata Party and to other regional rivals as well. So that remains to be seen, that whether this time around, if BJP will be able to dislodge Mr. Owaisi, who has a strong support base in the city. Mr. Owaisi has been seen as a leader who has been well versed with the local issues, who has been people who is aware of the pulse of the people, what they exactly need. But there are certain issues, especially the civic issues of infrastructure, that has been in question, even though Mr. Asauddin Owaisi has been a 4th-term member of parliament, he has not been able to solve those issues. So that is going to be one key point that the BJP has been raising or will be able to raise. But when it comes to other challenges that the regional and the national parties have in terms of getting the seat of Hyderabad, Mr. Asauddin Owaisi is a leader here from the city that will be in fact a big challenge for all the political parties, including BJP's Madhavi Lata as well.
All right, thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us and giving us a sense of how the voters are thinking about the upcoming Lok Sabha elections in the 4th phase of it. Now, the Lok Sabha constituency of Krishna Nagar in West Bengal is also witnessing a fierce three-corner fight amongst the BJP, the TMC and the CPIM. The TMC and the BJP have fielded heavyweight candidates, making this constituency a hot seat to watch out for. Here's a ground report by DD India correspondent Dipyendu Mondal. Let's quickly take a look.
200 years ago, this palace had been the center of politics. But 2 centuries later now, history meets politics again. The Queen Mother or the Rajmata of Krishnanagar's palace is contesting the election against the Trinamool Congress's heavyweight candidate Mahua Moitra. This constituency of Krishnanagar, where politics will flow from this particular Rajbari or the palace, will be interesting to watch. Let's delve into the politics of the Krishnanagar seat in Bengal. The real political battle in the Krishnanagar Lok Sabha constituency is between the elite and the royal. While the BJP has fielded Queen Mother or Rani Amrita Roy, a descendant of the last ruler of independent Bengal, Raja Krishna Chandra Roy, the TMC has fielded the vociferous Mahua Moitra. The political heat here is turning up, with the BJP putting all its might to defeat the TMC. On Thursday, the BJP organized a massive roadshow here. Popular actor and politician Mithun Chakraborty and Amrita Roy toured the city, with thousands of people queuing along the road to take a glimpse of both their Rani Ma and the actor. Some came dressed as Lord Ram and Hanuman, while others cheered amongst the crowd. The electorate of this constituency says that the corruption of the TMC government has put the BJP in an advantageous position this time around.
This time the BJP is strong. We think Rani Ma is going to win. There is too much corruption in the TMC government. People will vote for Modi.
While the TMC also campaigned throughout the day in various parts of the city. The TMC is keeping the social schemes of its government as the key highlight of their campaign.
I think Mahua Moitra is ahead in the race because she is accessible. Nobody before this knew Rani Ma.
The historic city of Krishnanagar is named after Raja Krishna Chandra Roy. The huge palace here still stands tall to narrate the history. It was this kingdom that gave Bengal the festival of Jagodhatri Puja. The people of Krishnanagar fondly remembers their king, who were known to be kind and giving. With the BJP now fielding the 39th generation of the king who once lived in the hearts of every people of this constituency, the battle has turned interesting. Even though the day comes to a close, the political heat in the Lok Sabha of Krishnanagar is turning high. 2 heavyweight candidates contesting against each other, but it will be the people of the Krishnanagar Lok Sabha that will decide who their candidate would go to the Parliament of India in Delhi. With camera person PK, this is Dibyendu Mondal from Krishnanagar in West Bengal for DD India.
Kashmir Valley, known for its natural beauty and landscapes, is all decked up to welcome the Festival of Democracy. Srinagar and other areas will vote on the 13th of May, and the air is already full of excitement and anticipation as electoral activities gaining momentum.
In my life, I've never seen anything like this. Earlier, we used to say that elections are like a death warrant to the political activists and many political senior leaders. Most of them, they used to think that this is the last time they could be going out from their homes when they would go out for campaigning. But it's due to the Prime Minister's management that we see that first time in recent years we have seen transparency, sense of security.
A big change is visible in Kashmir Valley with a steep decline in the incidence of stone pelting, strikes and boycotts during elections. For the first time in the last 3 decades, Kashmir is witnessing election rallies in areas which were considered strongholds of terrorists and separatists.
Today you are witnessing a free election atmosphere in our Kashmir, where 8 years ago you would see that candidates had hard time campaigning if they were from any party. But today I see that the atmosphere has changed a lot. Independent candidates are also campaigning for elections with ease. This is a big change that has come to our Kashmir. Social security has increased.
Now situation has visibly changed. More and more women and youth are now actively participating in the electoral process.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, it is openly visible. It's just the way his campaign is going on, everybody's having a campaign. And the biggest indicator would be the poll percentages, this is a place where it will be 10%, 12%, 13%. And this time we are expecting more than the national average. I mean, this is an absolute indicator. People are coming out to vote.
People also realize that democracy is the only guarantee to usher development in the region. Earlier, Jammu and Kashmir used to witness a low voter turnout due to terrorism.
Today I'm speaking out of my heart. Obviously everybody here wants this kind of normalcy. Everybody here wants Kashmir to be more prosperous, Kashmir to be more peaceful.
Kashmir is changing and it's visible in everybody's life. Lal Chowk now vibrates with colors, music and dance from different parts of the nation.
No threat calls, no bloodshed. After abrogation of 370, this is the first big electoral fight in the valley. And even new faces are also getting chance. And that's the point which makes this election interesting and center of attraction too. With camera person Vinod Oja, this is Rama Tyagi, DD India from Srinagar.
Now, the US has denied Russia's claim that it was meddling in the 2024 Indian general elections. US State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that the country does not involve itself in polls anywhere across the world. Take a listen.
Of course, we don't involve ourselves in elections in India, as we don't involve ourselves in elections anywhere in the world. Those are decisions for the people of India to make.
Now, India's apex court granted interim bail to Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal for 21 days till the 1st of June. The national convener of the Aam Aadmi Party has been asked to surrender on the 2nd of June, a day after the polling for the 7-phased parliamentary elections will end. Kejriwal was arrested on the 21st of March by the Enforcement Directorate in alleged Delhi liquor policy scam. The Char Dham Yatra commences with the opening of portals of Kedarnath Shrine today with worship and Vedic chanting. The portals of Kedarnath Dham, one of the 12 Jyotirlings of Lord Shiva, were opened for the devotees on the auspicious occasion of Akshay Tritiya. Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami was present along with the numerous pilgrims at the holy shrine during the ceremonial opening of the temple. Celebrations of Akshay Tritiya is in full fervour across India. People took holy dip in various rivers of the country on the auspicious occasion. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi greeted the countrymen. In a post on X, he said, and I quote a statement here, Akshay Tritiya is a very auspicious day in Odisha and for the great Odia culture. This is the day when the making of chariots begins for the Rath Yatra of Mahaprabhu Sri Jagannath. It is also closely linked with Akhi Muthi Anukula, when farmers start sowing seeds. May the blessings of Mahaprabhu Sri Jagannath always remain upon us, unquote. And now in DD India News Hour, let's take a look at other stories making news across the country. Indian naval ships Delhi, Shakti and Kiltan visited Singapore from the 6th till the 9th of May. The visit is a part of the operational deployment of the Indian Navy's Eastern Fleet to the South China Sea. The visit aims at undertaking bilateral engagements and reaffirming the commitment to enhance maritime security and stability across the region. 3 fishermen were released from Sri Lankan prison who reached Chennai airport on Friday. The fishermen were arrested by the Sri Lankan Navy allegedly for cross-border fishing on the 4th of April. The fishermen were from the Tangjimadam area in Rameshwaram. Incident of fire in the forest of Uttarakhand ongoing for months have reduced to almost zero in last 48 hours. The forest fires were doused due to the quick response of various departments and agencies along with the efforts of the local people. The rains have also helped in getting a curb on forest fires across the region. And now in DD India News Hour, let's quickly give you all the latest from the world of sports. To begin with tennis, 22 times Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal overcame losing the opening set to defeat Zizou Pertz to reach the second round at Italian Open on Thursday. Nadal, who last won the title in Rome in 2021, was given a stiff test by the 24-year-old in a match that lasted almost 3 hours on the centre court. Despite dropping the first set, Nadal staged a remarkable comeback to defeat the qualifier with a scoreline of 4-6, 6-3 and 6-4. Nadal will face Polish 7-seed Hubert Hurkacz in the second round. BCCI in India is set to invite applications for the new head coach of men's cricket team before the T20 Cricket World Cup. BCCI Secretary Jay Shah said that an advertisement to hire a new head coach will be released soon. Rahul Dravid's current contract with the BCCI as the head coach of the Indian team runs out at the end of June, and India will take part in T20 Cricket World Cup in West Indies and the USA that begins on the 1st of June. Jay Shah confirmed that the new head coach will be offered to take charge till the ODI World Cup in 2027. The rest of the backroom staff will be appointed in consultation with the new head coach. In soccer, Atalanta reached their first Europa League final with a 3-0 victory over Marseille for a 4-1 aggregate victory on Thursday. Ademola Lookman put Atalanta ahead in the second leg on the half-hour game with a long-range strike past Paul Lopez. He later set up Matteo Ruggeri to double the lead 7 minutes after the break. The Italians, who've never before reached a European final, will meet Bayer Leverkusen in the Europa League showpiece match in Dublin on the 22nd of May. In another semi-final, Bayer Leverkusen staged a late comeback to move into the Europa League final with a 2-2 home draw against Roma on Thursday and win by 4-2 on aggregate. With this victory, Leverkusen set the longest unbeaten run in all competitions, including European matches. Leverkusen played their 49th match without defeat to surpass Benfica's record set from 1963-65 that they had to battle for the second leg draw. Leverkusen will take on Atalanta in the finals at Dublin. All eyes are on reigning Olympic and world champion Neeraj Chopra as he begins his season at the Doha Diamond League today. Indian athlete Neeraj Chopra will hope to start with a bang in his first competitive outing of the year and set the tone for the upcoming Paris Olympics. Neeraj will also hope to get past the 90-meter barrier in the competition. Neeraj is the only Indian athlete in the history to become a Diamond League champion back in the year 2022. Well, here's an interesting video of South Korea that held the world's largest drone light show with some 5,000 drones that illuminated the night sky in Songdo, leaving the spectators completely mesmerized. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Deepika Mehto, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.